Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In this video, I just want to go over week one of the NFL season, some of the interesting storylines and stats that stood out. Admittedly, some of what I show, it's possible it's coincidence, but most of this is not. The NFL is a scripted league from score outcomes to QB attempts and more, as I have shown in multiple years of recording this. We'll begin with the last game played of week one, which was the Vikings at the San Francisco 49ers. This year, the San Francisco 49ers will be hosting Super Bowl 50. San Francisco has gematria of 50, so it is interesting that they are hosting Super Bowl 50. They're also the 49ers, and they're following the Super Bowl after Super Bowl 49, of course. In terms of QB attempts, Teddy Bridgewater, the Vikings quarterback, he was 23 of 32. 32 is the NFL number. NFL has gematria of 32. Interesting how the attempts and the completions are a reflection of each other. The 49ers quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, he was 17 of 26. And why that stands out to me is because both of those numbers are connected to God. God has Pythagorean gematria of 17 and simple English of 26. Remember, if you sum 1 through 17, the total is 153. And if you sum 1 through 26, the total is 351. These are reflections of each other. These are important numbers in the Bible and in sacred geometry. I have a video showing how the English language is based on gematria and sacred geometry. Here we find some of those most important numbers in the stats of the 49ers quarterback. Notice he had 26 attempts, and Carlos Hyde, the running back, had 26 carries. I don't play fantasy football anymore, but I told all my friends who do to draft Carlos Hyde this year. I said he'll be the player that wins a lot of leagues for a lot of teams. I've won a lot of fantasy football in my day, Truth Seeker. I'm 32. I've played fantasy football since I was 13 until last season. I just gave it all up because I'm focusing more on doing this work that you're seeing. I don't have the time for fantasy football anymore, but I still know who's got the talent. As for San Francisco, who won their opening game, notice they have Pythagorean gematria of 50, capital S exception of 59, and with both S exceptions, 68. The reason this is interesting is because before yesterday's game, San Francisco had 68 to 1 odds of winning the Super Bowl. Interesting, right? San Francisco is my dark horse team to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl at this point. Last year, when they still had Frank Gore, I was predicting that they were going to win the Super Bowl the next season ahead, be the first team to go to their own Super Bowl hosted. After the trades and the way the team fell apart, I'm not so sure about that, but then again, they played pretty well last night. Also, Truth Seeker, what I want to bring up is there's a lot of connections between San Francisco and Pope Francis, who has very similar gematria. Notice the gematria of Pope Francis, 5968, numbers connected to San Francisco. Also, Pope Francis and San Francisco are the exact same in simple English gematria. Last night was the first time the 49ers ever wore black and red uniforms at home. And black and red are, of course, very Catholic colors associated with the Catholic Church like Pope Francis. The Super Bowl season kicked off Thursday night with the band Train playing outside of the 49ers stadium. I just want to show you how Trainwreck has the same gematria as Pope Francis in San Francisco. This year, the band Train from San Francisco playing outside of San Francisco Stadium for the Thursday night opener, Steelers versus Patriots. The other Monday night game last night was Eagles versus Falcons. I have already made a video predicting that the Eagles will be in the Super Bowl for the NFC. That's still my first pick. Week one doesn't mean much. Notice that they finished with a sum of 50. The Eagles missed a late field goal that would have put them ahead. But what really stands out to me in this game is Sam Bradford's attempts. Look at his attempts. 52 out of last year's Super Bowl. I said to watch for the number 52. We'll talk more about 52 in this post, but just notice that California has gematria of 52. Of course, San Francisco hosting the Super Bowl is in California. The Sunday night game ended in hoax-alicious fashion. Games like the Sunday night game are so commonplace in the NFL. A late drive, no defense, announcers going crazy, acting like it's a miracle. It's just, to me watching it, it's just going, who is believing this? You got to be from Stupidville to think any of this is real. Rashad Jennings, after the game the next day, headlines came out that he was told not to score at the end of the game. Had he scored, the Giants would have surely beaten the Cowboys. So you have to ask yourself, why didn't they score? Well, the night before on my blog, before that headline came out, I covered the reason why. I think this is it, Truth Seeker. The number 53 was very important to the World Series last year that the San Francisco Giants, originally out of New York, won by defeating Kansas City. I just showed you how San Francisco has gematria of 122. So does Kansas City. San Francisco and Kansas City, last year's World Series, both teams summed to 122, and this is why 53 was so important last year in the World Series. It concluded on a day with 53 numerology. The coach of the Giants has 53 gematria. By winning the World Series, the Giants had won 3 of the last 5. Think of those numbers in light of 53. Earlier in that same day, it was reported that a missing Broncos fan, Paul Kitterman, age 53, was found 110 miles from where he was last seen. Last year's World Series was the 110th World Series. Look at the name gematria of Paul Kitterman, 53, and he was born on March 22nd. Here's the story from last year, Truth Seeker. Notice his height is 5'7". World Series has gematria of 57. This headline from earlier in the day was a dead giveaway of who was going to win the World Series later that day. Also interesting, in the Hoover Dam, there is a dedication memorial to a man named Sherman Jones who supposedly died by falling from the new bridge that was built, named after Pat Tillman, the Cardinals football player who died in the Iraq War. What's really trippy about this is in MLB history, there was a player named Sherman Jones who played for the Giants, pitched in the 61 World Series against the Yankees, and after his Major League Baseball career, retired as a mayor of Kansas City. In his career, he pitched 110 innings, like last year's World Series was the 110th. He had 53 career strikeouts, this number that decided the World Series, and last year he had pitched 53 years earlier in a World Series for Cincinnati. His career was mostly with the Giants, but he also played with the Reds. For that season, they faced the Yankees in the World Series. It's amazing, isn't it, Truth Seeker? The guy was born in the year 35, the reflection of 53. But anyway, all this coding I decoded last year before the World Series final game was played. This is the kind of stuff I am showing you about sports by the numbers, just to show you this stuff is no coincidence. Also this week, the Chargers defeated the Lions 33-28. Lions as a team have 33 name gematria. San Diego has the gematria of 74. 33 and 74 are two of these numbers that are often paired together. Just covered this in the last video on nuclear weapons. Out of the 50 states, only one has a name that sums to 74. It is Oregon. Oregon is the 33rd state. So no doubt this win, 33-28, part of the scripting by the numbers. The only other team that scored 33 points was the Bengals, also having 33 name gematria. Next week, the Bengals and Chargers play each other. No other team scored 33 points. The Bengals defeated the Raiders, who have name gematria of 74. Remember in the offseason, Ken Stabler, the former Raiders quarterback, died. He was the MVP in the 74 season, and in his career, he won 74 games with the Raiders. This is Ken Stabler, the Raiders quarterback who was MVP in 74. All part of the scripted NFL by the numbers. Now here's the creepy one of the week. The Packers went into Chicago and won 31-23. The reason this is creepy is because Wisconsin, where the Packers are from, and Georgia are the only two states with 44 gematria, the kill number. Think about how President Obama, the 44th president, is from Wisconsin and is currently 54 years old. 33 plus 21 is 54. Here's a headline from just some years back about how JFK was nearly killed at Soldier Field 20 days before he was actually shot in Dallas. Emphasis on the number 44. JFK was the 44th term president. Obama's the 44th president. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? The kill number? 44 comes into Chicago, where Obama gave his presidential acceptance speech as the 44th president elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. I think this is scripting with a message right here. The NFL is a propaganda league. In terms of more scripted games, we had the Chiefs versus the Texans. A lot of NFL fans won't catch this one, but a man named Hank Stram originally created the team known as the Dallas Texans, which later moved to Kansas City and became the Chiefs. Then years later, the team became the Houston Texans. So Texans and Chiefs have a relationship. Notice the score of the game, 27-20, a sum of 47 points, a very important number to the NFL, to the Zionists who run the NFL. Hank Stram, the man who founded the team, notice the 33 gematria, also 42 important numbers to the Freemasons. Back with regards to that Bengals game where they won 33-13 over the Raiders, notice how they scored their 33 points in 3 quarters, 33-3. 3 states with 33 gematria in the United States. Another scripted storyline, the Ravens defensive coordinator became the Broncos head coach this year, and the Broncos and Ravens played each other in week 1. The Broncos won 19-13 for a sum of 32 points, the important number to the NFL. Broncos also have a gematria of 32. This stuff is a joke. And here's my favorite storyline. The Mariota versus Winston week 1. This is the number 1 pick versus the number 2 pick. In this case, the number 2 pick showed up the number 1 pick. Mariota became the first QB to throw 2 touchdown passes in the first quarter as a rookie and became the first QB to throw 4 touchdowns in a half in his first game. It should be noted that the only time Winston ever lost in college was against Mariota as well. Notice that Tennessee won 42-14, that very important number to the Freemasons. It is the Freemasons who run the NFL. Mariota's first touchdown pass was a 52-yarder, that number I said to watch for coming out of Super Bowl 49. Remember, Bradford had 52 attempts. Notice that Tennessee has gematria of 52 as well. He threw this 52-yard touchdown pass as his first for the Tennessee Titans. Someday I'd like to talk to my former high school classmate Michael Roos, who's been the left tackle for the Titans for a number of years now. Mariota, first touchdown pass, 52 yards. Here's what else is funny, Truth Seeker. During the NFL Combine, where the rookies go through this process to become NFL QBs, they have to take something called the Wonderlic test. This goes for the NFL draft. And they pointed out how in that test, Winston got a 27 and Mariota got a 33. And right away that stood out because both of these men have a connection to 33. Mariota played for Oregon, the 33rd state. Winston has name gematria of 33. But even look at Wonderlic. Wonderlic equals 49, just like draft. You wonder where these words come from? It's all gematria. The name Winston has 33 and 42. 42 is a number stamped all over black Americans throughout history. He lost 42-14 against Mariota, the number 2 pick. Mariota had 16 attempts on the game. Only the numbers 16 and 90 when written out have gematria of 33. Notice that Winston had 33 attempts, just like his name. Winston was 26-1 in college, with his only loss coming against Mariota. And then remember, the kickoff of the game finished with 28-21, a sum of 49, the winners of Super Bowl 49 winning the game. And they won it against the Steelers, who have name gematria of 49. Also, Headset Gate was the term after this game for more Patriots cheating. Headset Gate and Deflate Gate both have gematria of 41, number important to the nation. routine